There
I
might,
remember
maybe
I had one photograph
One,
of the class, my first class, first year. I had a Mr. Lambert, and then I had a phys ed teacher, Miss Johnson, and I had took art from Ernie Lindner, and I had Mr. Mayer, who became the principal at Aidan Bowman School. He taught history and that, and now, why can't I remember the math teachers? I guess because I wasn't good in math, I don't think.
So why would you have not done grade 11 and 12? Was it that you just didn't have to at that time? They would admit you into this college?
No, well, you either took the 3-year course, or else if you had your grade 12, you could just take the 1-year commercial course, one. Otherwise, if you hadn't gone through your high school, then you had to do your high school, and the commercial went along with it.
So before you moved, you had stayed in Waka from approximately age 5 to 14. And that's
Well, I think I have no.
And it was Waka.
I have no recollection.
Yeah.
What year when I went to live with Uncle Bill and Aunt Jeanne.
So, but it was Waka the whole time with them.
In that time, yeah.
And so you don't have any stories or memories about being with your mother as a baby before then. So what kind of jobs did Nanny do while you were in Waka?
Well, as far as I know, she was sewing all the time. I don't know whether she worked in Edelman. Isn't it odd when you're young, or in those years? I think now the children of today know so much more. There's so much out there that they can learn, where in those years, in the tough times, people weren't thinking about what relatives you had, where you came from, what you did, or anything. All you were concerned about till after the war, when times got better, you were just concerned about having a roof and over your head and enough to eat.
Do you remember Uncle Bill ever, complaining about the Depression or caring about politics and just?
No, I don't remember him, but I know he was always working. He just kind of went from one thing to another. If things didn't pick up, then he just would try to do something else. I think that Walker book would probably have some information about all the different things he did. Willie wrote that write-up, and I think he wrote all the different kinds of jobs that he did while the times are tough. See, when things got better, that's how come although he hadn't been working in a lumberyard since the Depression, he wound up getting a job in Rock Glen and managing it. So, in any case, as you know, he worked for them for, 50 years or more.
Was he a smoker or a drinker?
Let's see. I don't think he ever smoked, and I don't know if he ever drank.
Do you remember the first time you tried smoking?
Oh, I never smoked. Oh, one time I was at something, and I was at some event or something, and someone that we were out with said, "Oh, have a smoke, Jeanne." I said, "Oh, I don't smoke." "Oh, just try it." And I remember I was putting a cigarette up to my mouth, and Les saw me, and he said, "You're not going to have a smoke." And I never did, never had a cigarette.
And do you remember the first time you tried alcohol?
I think the first time I tried a drink of alcohol was when I was here in Saskatoon, and I had met Les that fall. I know, I had a tennis racket, and it needed to get restrung. And of course, their shop used to be on 2nd Avenue where the Galaxy Theatre is. And I had taken the tennis racket in there to get restrung, because there were lots of tennis courts all over the city. In those days, there were lots of skating rinks. Every school had an outdoor skating rink. And they had one big skating rink where the Saskatoon Funeral Home is. That whole great big half a block had a big skating rink. There were hundreds of skaters that used to come in and skate there. Anyways, I had met, there were boys at the Tech, and I had met 2 or 3 of them, and they would, if they had any money, you would go to a show when it was, 15 cents a piece or something. And I remember Les said to me, "Oh, I'd like my mother and dad to meet you." And that afternoon I had gone to a show with this Clark fellow. Now I can't remember his first name now. He had joined up in the Air Force, and he had a uniform on, I remember, when he came to pick me up at the apartment. And we went to a show, and I had a date with Les for the evening. And he had brought along a box of chocolates, and we were eating the chocolates, and I had lots of them. And then I came home, and then Les picked me up about 7 or something, and he said, "My parents are at a meeting," but he said they should be home in about half an hour. So anyways, we were talking, and he said to me, "Would you like a glass of wine?" He said, "My father makes some kind of wine." And I said, "Oh, I've never had any." He said, "Well, would you like to try some?" And I wound up having a glass of wine. And I no sooner took the glass, had a sip of the wine, and all these chocolates, and did I ever get sick. He took me to the kitchen sink, and I remember I was throwing up when his mother and dad walked in. And anyways, that's how I met his mother and dad. Of course, his dad drank, I know, but Grandma Walters certainly didn't drink. And that's how I met his folks.
Do you remember when you were younger, the first boy you ever had a crush on?
I don't know that I had a crush on anybody when I was in Walker. I think it wasn't until just before wartime I met this fellow, Bill, and he and I started going together. And we had an argument one night about something, and I said to him I wasn't going to see him anymore, and he said, "That's all right. We're just going to quit seeing each other." And I wouldn't say I'm sorry, whatever it was about, and he wouldn't say the same thing. And first thing I knew, he was away. He had joined the Navy.
Is he the first person you dated?
Well, seriously, I think.
In Saskatoon.
I'm sorry?
And that was in Saskatoon.
And that was?
In Saskatoon.
Oh, yeah, in Saskatoon.